And we're live. Welcome everyone to today's LinkedIn Live hosted by Gain. I'm Zoe Kambuzi and I'm really thrilled to be joined by Ira Vulk today, Gain advisor, tech innovator, educator, and last but definitely not least, 4 times published author. Ira's in a very unique position, actually, to educate our industry about technology because she not only has the skills, but also the will to dive really deep into
That is
to
true.
uncomplicate, what's something which is getting increasingly more complex, increasingly
Yep.
complex landscape. So welcome, Ira.
Hi everyone. Thank you for having me, Zoe. I'm really happy to be here. And this is my favorite topic, and many of you guys already know. You've heard me speak on it before, and can't wait to have this discussion today with Gain.
Fantastic. Yeah, so you've had a really rich career in hospitality tech. I mean,
I,
there's so much
oh,
about you online, I have to say. Can you just first of all share your journey and a little bit what drew you into our industry?
yes, as I think I've written this in my books before. I started in housekeeping 20 years ago, and some of you guys have already heard this story. So it's like a typical American dream story, start from nothing and become somebody who can make a difference. And I've gone through a lot of different angles, positions in the industry, from the operations, property level, management company level, corporate. And then I got into tech, and I just got stuck in tech and I can't leave. And it's been 20 years, and I founded a revenue management system technology company. I worked for other technology providers building really cool technology. It's like crack cocaine, as I call it, because you build a really good tool and you launch it to the world and you see it adopted by thousands of customers, and you want to do it again and again. So tech really draws me, pulls me in. But last few years I've been consulting on technology and also revenue and profit optimization. Those are my two areas of expertise. I've been teaching at San Diego State, and I recently joined Room Angel Foundation as VP of Global Partnerships. If you guys are not familiar with Room Angel yet, please go ahead and look it up. We are kicking it off, and it's a really great initiative, industry-wide direct booking initiative. So you'll hear more about it.
Brilliant. Well, I'm sure if you're involved, it's going to be a roaring success.
I hope
So,
so. I hope
so
so.
the title of our live is about uncomplicating technology. So, why is this an issue, and what are you doing to solve it right now?
It is an issue, and I think those who are somewhat, experienced and knowledgeable and have been circulating in the technology fields of our industry, we all are aware that it's very complex. It's convoluted. It's complicated, but it's not rocket science. Like really, it is actually this complex knowledge can be organized and structured and taught. And this is what I teach at San Diego State. And by the end of this semester, my students know and understand more about it than majority of people in the industry, which I thought wasn't fair to the people in the industry. That's why I've been very active in trying to communicate this knowledge and this structure to the industry in various forms. But the main problem is that we have different stakeholders in the industry, and our industry is complex in itself, not just the tech space, but the industry and the composition of it. It's very fragmented. We have different stakeholders, and then we have also two different worlds. We have the hotel operators on one side, the buyers of tech, and we have the suppliers, the vendors on the other side, and they don't understand each other at all. History. I've been consulting both sides and also investors as a third group, but they just speak different languages. And the reason is because majority of tech providers, they don't come from our industry. On different level within the organization, starting from the founders, executives, marketers, salespeople, developers of these products, they're not from the industry. And that's logical because we in our industry, we don't come here to write code. We come here to provide great customer service. So it's really hard to find tech oriented talent from within. So they come from other industries, but the situation is that the results in them not really understanding how our system, how our industry functions, and how it's structured, and how the decision making process is happens when, you know, in technology adoption, the technology adoption decision making process. So this lack of understanding results in the confusion, a lot of confusions. And I've been, like I said, I'm very active in trying to educate both sides to help them understand each other. But again, it's all doable. It's not rocket science. And, you know, we're going to talk about it more today during the podcast, how to hopefully understand it better and be able to navigate that complex space.
Yeah. What you're saying really resonates with me because, you know, I've been in the, you know, hospitality tech sphere for what, 6-7 years now, but I came from medtech, there's the food industry, all that as a marketer. So I kind of wish your book was the book I got handed on day one coming into the industry. And I think, and what you say is really powerful. Like, a lot of us are coming from outside, and it's kind of up to us to piece things together. And it's great to have this resource. Yeah.
Yeah. So we haven't talked about the book yet, so we probably should mention it right now, right? So you mentioned the book, and many of you probably know because I've already announced the publication. The new book, Hotel Tech 101, just came out, and this is exactly why I wrote it. I wrote it for people from either from the hotel operator space, those who want to understand how to invest in technology, how to select between a gazillion different technology types and technology vendors, how to understand the technology integration dependencies and whatnot, but also for vendors, for people like you, and again, for different roles within the organization. And that's also one of the key target audiences for my book, vendors in our industry who want to understand how our industry is structured, how it functions, and how technology upgrade decisions are made, because our industry has different segments, and these segments are like different planets. The process of adopting technology is different. The stakeholders, that the decision makers are different, and the technology they use is different. The needs for technology are different. So it's important to understand those things before you start even building your product, not after you've built it, spent a lot of money on building something that's not going to be used in the industry, because you didn't understand the use cases, the end user types, and the stakeholders. But before you start investing in your product, you need to understand it. And so that's one of the key audiences for my book. And the book can be found online, Amazon, Google, on my website, on my LinkedIn profile page. It's becoming the bestseller in the category, as my previous books also had the pleasure of doing. And yeah, I think I hear it's a good read. I would highly recommend. I have really good reviews already coming in. So it would be a good structured piece of content that will help, I think, a lot of people in our industry understand how to navigate it better.
Yeah, it's definitely on my read list, 100%. I think, it's really interesting. We've had a chat before as well about, from a marketer's perspective, that, you might have one piece of tech that has 3 different, very distinct buyer personas within just one brand, or more. So understanding that, coming in for marketing, for product, for, as you say, execs, founders at all levels. So we've spoken a bit about the vendor. What about from the hotel side? Like, what kind of insights could you give for hoteliers?
Yes. So that's a great question on the hotelier side, and there are different stakeholders there too, right? So if we're talking about franchised brand situation, for example, there are 3 stakeholders. We have the brand itself, like top global brands like Marriott, Hilton, Hyatt, and whatnot. We have the owners of the asset, and we have the management company, which is normally also involved. So we have 3 different stakeholders. So if you're an owner or operator, and you're trying to decide to make a technology upgrade decision, then it's a convoluted space, and it's a long process. The larger the company is, the more complex it is, mainly because there are different stakeholders that first need to agree with each other on what to do and what to invest in. But for smaller operators, for smaller businesses, it's really not necessarily, like you said in the description of the podcast, it's not necessary to hire a consultant to do that. It's not rocket science. So I believe that after reading my book, anybody should understand what to do in terms of technology upgrade decisions, about in terms of which category of technology to invest in, when which piece of technology from within each category is necessary for your operations. And moreover, right now there are tools, and I won't mention any names because then it will be perceived as, hard sales. But there are tools right now that present or offer end-to-end solutions for these types of operators, where you get everything in one place. You get one login and one bill, and you're able to run your entire property from your computer without having to subscribe, to put together as what I call a Tetris game. So for that's the vast majority of our industry, actually, the independent operators, that are smaller businesses. But if we go into the more complex, larger operations, then it becomes more convoluted, because every company is different. And I have done a lot of consulting for these companies in the mid-market. And the way that they do business is normally very specific. So they do have to either hire a consultant or allocate a task force to the project of technology upgrade. And it's a normally pretty lengthy project. But again, it's all doable, and a lot of companies have done it. So if you're one of those companies who haven't decided to invest yet and still using old premise-based tech solutions, please start considering embracing the future, or the present rather. Move to the cloud, adopt AI, understand what categories of tech you need to invest in, make it your goal, build a project task force around it, and do it, because you'll be very happy that you did in the future.
100%. Yeah, I think you mentioned data there. So it's something that I want to hone into.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about a lot of tech companies, we're talking about in the future, they're actually data management companies. So can you sort of give me a little bit of a lowdown on why and how data is so important to our industry and to tech specifically?
Data is important in any decision-making process. Honestly, our industry is known for making business decisions based on gut feeling, or the shape of the moon, or rose petals, or whatever it is. But I have always, every semester, I have an entire lecture for my students on data-driven decision-making. You have to use data for any business decision. And there's this kind of a whole separate discussion of how convoluted the data ecosystem is in our industry. It's a different topic, which is also very exciting to me, because I'm a nerd. There is really no standards in our industry for anything, including the naming conventions for data, formulas, or APIs, how data is transferred between different systems. But we're making progress, definitely. And data is, of course, important for any technology to function. It's like gas for a car, right? You have an RMS system, for example. You've built a wonderful RMS system, but you can't use it, like nobody can use it until you develop your first integration with the PMS. And then you start pulling data into the system, and then you start generating data and pushing it back to other systems as well. So it's just simply the tech can't function without data. So it's very important for us to also organize our data ecosystem in the industry, and to either build standards around main things, which HTNG organization has been trying to do for many years. But maybe we should look at more creative ways to bring this chaos to order through AI somehow, through algorithms, machine learning algorithms that would automatically recognize different languages, and bring them somehow to, or allow them to communicate, or aggregate data in a way that doesn't require any human involvement, or benchmark data against or different properties against each other automatically. So those things are all doable, especially considering the evolution of AI and how many things have changed in the last few years post-COVID. Like I said, we're going in the right direction, and technology adoption rates are skyrocketing right now, and the data field is becoming more clear and more organized.
Well, that's good news. Yeah, I like your analogy, which is like the tech is the machine and the data is the gas.
Yeah.
We all need to make
Unless you're
sure.
using Tesla like me, then you don't need gas.
True.
Regular.
So actually, that takes us on to the next one. So maybe the Tesla's the AI. So
That's right. That's Tesla.
you
Yeah.
know, yeah, you already mentioned AI, and I think
Yeah.
it's in our description. It's all over the industry. It's something that you know a lot about as well. We need to. This is where we're going. So,
Yeah.
tell us kind of. I'd love to hear about what future trends hoteliers should be prepared for.
A lot of different trends, and I have actually an entire chapter on it in my previous book. But I would say to highlight, first of all, um, cloud. Believe it or not, there's still a very big portion of properties in the world who are still using premise-based property management systems and other premise-based technology solution. So while cloud is not new, it's been around for 15 years now. It's still a trend because we're still moving slowly to the cloud solutions. I think that's number one. We will soon see more and more companies, hotel businesses, lodging businesses finally transition to cloud. AI, of course, all things AI. All vendors are now doing something with AI, whether they want it or not. They just have to because it's a buzzword. Another question and a whole different discussion is how and what they're doing, because as a hotelier, you need to ask hard questions, difficult questions from your vendors. How exactly you are adopting AI, what type of AI, and what does it mean for me as a customer in terms of ROI? How is this going to affect me? Don't just listen and nod when they say, oh, we use AI. You actually have to ask questions and get the details. So AI is a big one. And I think overall standardization of things and being able to come to some form of organized way of selling technology, of building APIs, and consolidating our complex tech ecosystem. I think it looks like this is where we're going because there are a lot of mergers and acquisitions and integrations, seamless integrations happening. I think AI will help with that as well. I believe in middleware as a concept. It's, again, a whole separate discussion. We won't go into this right now. We don't have time. But again, there's a chapter on that in my book. I think it has a future, especially in conjunction with AI developments. We have a chance of solving our integration dependencies issues or integration issues in general. So I think as a result, what we're aiming for is the same thing um, that we are experiencing with cell phone market, for example, when we only have two operating systems, not 1500 as we have in the PMS world. It's essentially an operating system, right? PMS is an operating system. So with the cell phone, we only have two. So developers, when they build apps, they only need to write to two standards. And then as a user, if you want to install an app, you go to the app store and you click and you install it within 20 seconds. In our industry right now, you have to go through a 6-month sales cycles to achieve that. And these developers need to build to 1,500 different standards. So we're slowly moving towards that bright futures that I described in as we have in other industries. For example, cell phone market, we're not there yet, but I believe we will eventually be there. We won't have two PMSs left. Maybe we'll have 20, 30, but it's going to be much more manageable. And I think definitely we have a chance to get there considering all the advancements in technology.
That sounds like a bright future. I like that. Simplicity, efficiency.
Yes.
It's definitely the way. Good. So wrapping up, Ira, what are your 3 takeaways for our industry in overcoming the problem of convoluted technology?
Great question. So I think, first of all, number one, we need to accept the fact that it's convoluted. It's complex. We can't be in denial. It's difficult to navigate. Number two, educate yourself. It's not rocket science. It's all doable. It's possible to this knowledge is possible to structure, and it is structured in my publications. I would say start with the diagram that I built. You can find it either online if you Google hotel tech diagram or ecosystem, or if you go to my website or my LinkedIn page, you will see the diagram that will allow you to just see within the first 20 seconds. I promise you, you're going to be like, oh, this is how it works. So this will help a lot. to structure this knowledge, and that would become much clearer. Read publications, educate yourself online. Number three, don't be afraid of investing in real new modern tech. That's, I think, don't make this fear of this space being convoluted stop you from innovating in your company. That would be my key advice, as a consultant, as a tech expert in our industry, and somebody who has gone through a lot of projects, either building technology or helping my clients invest and upgrade technology and seeing the results. This is the future. You can't live without modern tech anymore. You should definitely invest in it and be open-minded about it.
Right, I love that. Admit it, educate yourself, and just go for it.
Go for it. Just go
It can
for
apply to many things in life, and I love that. Thank you so much. Well, thank you, Ira. It was fantastic. I love it. I can't wait to read your book. And yeah, thank you so much, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you for having me. It's been fun, as always. Thank you, guys. Have a
Take
good
care.
day. Bye-bye.
Bye.